Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Tim O'Shea. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the 60-day program. Now, as many of you know, the 60-day program is a very specific classic regimen of nutrition and detoxification whose purpose is to restore the body to normal equilibrium simply by providing the body only what is absolutely nourishing to the cells, adding nothing more to the toxic load. Toxic buildup in the tract and the blood can damage every system, every tissue, every cell. Now, after many years with thousands of patients using the detox program, it's been our experience that there is virtually no condition of physical imbalance that will not show significant improvement. The only time it, quote, doesn't work is if the patient doesn't follow directions. So ask yourself this question: how much of your life is spent being concerned about your illnesses, or fear of illnesses that do not even exist, or fear of illnesses that you will never have, or worrying about your medications, talking about your surgeries, planning your surgeries, what this doctor said, what that doctor said, who's giving you permission to live or permission to die, or concerns with imaginary viral threats? Or how much of your life is concerned with achieving or maintaining glowing health by means of natural foods, staying adjusted, daily exercise, with no concerns about vaccines or drugs, no intake of pasteurized dairy, refined carbohydrates, or hydrogenated oils on a daily basis? So which takes more of your time? Concerns about being sick or concerns about being healthy? In the 1930s, there was a guy named Weston A. Price, and he was a dentist. And he decided to tour the entire world looking for what? The healthiest people on earth. He went on this 3-year journey looking for the people who lived the longest with no degenerative disease, who lived an essentially pain-free life except for injury, and who had very strong bones. And he stayed at dozens of different communities all over the entire world. And then he wrote an amazing book called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. What Price found was not really that surprising. He found out that the healthiest people in the whole world, no matter where they live, had certain characteristics in common. They all had a mineral-rich water supply. They were all cut off from the foods of commerce, in other words, no processed foods. And their diets consisted essentially of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, a little meat, fish, and maybe some raw dairy. That's it. In other words, a daily intake of usable vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. And this is the healthiest people who have ever lived. Many of these communities, it was common for people to live beyond 100 years, even much older than that. So in thinking about detoxification, the first question most people ask themselves is it really necessary for me to detox? How necessary is detoxification? Well, let's look at some of the poisons and toxins that most of us cannot avoid in this life. First of all, there are vaccines. In this country, we have the most vaccinated children in the history of the world. We are now forcing 72 vaccines on them. Within these vaccines, there are a number of adjuvants and neurotoxins which are immunosuppressive to children. Secondly is drugs, both pharmaceutical and recreational. We are the most drugged country on earth. With only 4% of the world's population, we consume about 50% of the world's pharmaceuticals. Did you know that the average person over 65 years old gets 13 prescriptions per year, and if you are under 65, your average is 6 prescriptions per year. This is irrespective of all the recreational drugs. In addition to that are the processed foods, which make up 80% of the diet of 80% of our population. And then there are the toxic chemicals to which we're all exposed in the air, in the food, and in the water. So just how many toxic chemicals are there in the environment? Well, depending upon your source, estimates range anywhere from 80,000 to 700,000 chemicals to which we may be exposed in the air, the food, and the water, most of which are completely unregulated. Chemtrails, the newest class of biotoxin, are not only unregulated, they're not even acknowledged by the polluters themselves. Chemtrails are now dispersed on a regular basis all over the world. One source states that there are 21 billion pounds of toxic chemicals released every year, 4.5 billion pounds of which are carcinogenic specifically. This is from a source called worldometers.com. So the term here is bioaccumulative. These poisons, these toxins to which we are exposed in the air, in the food, and in the water. We breathe them, we eat foods with them, we drink water with them, we are injected with drugs that have these toxins in. They are not able to be broken down and moved out of our body as waste. The word is bioaccumulative. That means they accumulate in our cells and tissues for many years, and in some cases permanently. As such, they can be the cause of virtually any organic disease, either now or in the future. So here's one popular example, trans fatty acids. Now most of us know that term, but we're really not sure what it is. Trans fatty acids are a byproduct of overheated, processed, and hydrogenated foods, which are completely indigestible and which build up in our tract and in our blood and in our tissues. Common examples would be French fries, commercial French fries. Did you know that 32% of your French fries are trans fatty acids? That means they contain nothing nourishing for you. They are toxic to your body. They clog your arteries and your digestive tract, and the body must expend a great deal of energy moving them out. Margarine is another example of trans fatty acids. Fully 37% of margarine may be trans fatty acids. Did you know that one glazed donut contains 6 grams of trans fatty acids? So we all know that our cell membranes require essential fatty acids or good fats like DHA and EPA, and these are necessary for healthy cell membranes. But for people whose diet contains no essential fatty acids, no good fats, but contain a ton of trans fats, they're eating Doritos and potato chips and cookies all the time. Since there are no good fats available, the body will use the inferior trans fats instead. It will come as close as it can to the good fats. And these, of course, are inferior building materials for all the purposes of the essential fatty acids in your body. Now, we've all heard about hydrogenated oils, partially hydrogenated soybean oil. Why does hydrogenation of oils work for preserving foods? Well, first of all, we should realize that in the production of processed foods, the number one objective is not nutrition. Their number one goal is always what? Shelf life. So food manufacturers discovered 50 or 60 years ago that if they could infiltrate snack foods with hydrogenated oils, they would last virtually indefinitely on the shelves. Why? And why is that? Because microbial scavengers won't feed off a dead food. For example, open up a bag of potato chips and leave them out on your counter for a week or so, and then try one. It'll taste the same as always. It won't be stale. Why? No bugs or bacteria will feed off it because it provides no nutrition for them. So it will last virtually indefinitely. Unfortunately, it's the same thing when you eat those potato chips. Those hydrogenated ingredients in the potato chips, they get into your digestive tract, work their way into your blood, and then can take up residence in virtually any organ or tissue. Once in the blood, digestion can no longer occur. So this is just a simple explanation of the mechanism for toxic buildup in all our organs and tissues from hydrogenated foods. The most common hydrogenated oil, of course, is partially hydrogenated soybean oil, and we tell the whole story of that in our chapter on the website entitled The Magic Bean. The Magic Bean. So we find that this same hydrogenated soybean oil that is used in making chips and donuts and snack foods, this same exact oil is used in industry as a base for paint, varnish, and linoleum, as well as for printer's ink. With the snack foods, it's in virtually everything. It's in all our, I'm talking about hydrogenated oil now, right? Hydrogenated oils infiltrate our breads, most of our cereals, salad dressings, croutons, salty snacks, sweet snacks, frozen desserts, cookies, pies, pastries, cakes, pizza, candy bars, margarine, cooking oils. All of these contain partially hydrogenated soybean oil as a primary component. And as I said, not only are they completely indigestible in the body, but as they build up in our organs, 80% of the population has an 80% processed food diet. So there's certainly no question about whether these people need to do periodic detoxification or not. But even for the people who describe their lifestyle as a healthy diet, I've noticed that when we really take a close look at their version of healthy diet, it still contains a lot of processed foods. We can hardly avoid it in the, quote, civilization in which we live today in the United States. So these indigestible products of hydrogenated foods that take up residence in our bodies become trapped within our cells. They cannot escape. And most people die with an enormous toxic load locked in their cells and tissues that have been locked in there for years. Mainstream medicine has no solution for this. There are no drugs that remove toxic chemicals and indigestible food products from your cells and tissues. Mainstream medicine, for that matter, has nothing for chronic degenerative conditions, which are really the majority of diseases that people suffer from. So, as far as detoxification or trying to remove the toxic buildup from the cells, tissues, and arteries, there's really only one way, and that's a natural detox program. All the systems of the body can be affected. All the systems of the body can develop dysfunction and disease. Your nervous system, your immune system, your endocrine system, your digestive system, your musculoskeletal system. And in the chapters at The Doctor Within, we go into each one of these particular areas specifically and break it down. So because of all these facts of modern American life, even healthy individuals need to do periodic detoxifications. Now, I'm not talking about 3 days on Metamucil. No. By age 40, even if you are normal weight, you never get sick, you have tons of energy, and you have a fairly good lifestyle, just because of being exposed to this environment, the air, the food, and the water all those years, it's my contention that even people like this need to do a 60-day, a complete regimented detox program for all the reasons that we're about to explain. So what are the components of a detox program? What are the components of a detox program? First of all, hydration. Now, it's no secret that the majority of people are dehydrated today. To be healthy, the healthy adult needs between 1 and 2 liters of water every single day. That's good water, best water. So we go through that discussion in the water chapter at the Doctor Within. And I'm not talking about the water that's in the 6 cups of coffee that you drink in the morning or all the soft drinks that you take in. No, I'm talking about actual water, good water, between 1 and 2 liters per day. Secondly is a nutritious diet. Now, the 60-day program consists of a very simple, common sense diet. We call it the New West diet, and we're about to go into that in detail. Then there's the clearing of the digestive tract. That's our first focus. Clear the digestive tract. Clear all those toxic, stuck foods that have been accumulating in your tract all those years. And finally, clearing out the arterial system, clearing the blood. I always say it's like thinking about 2 hydraulic systems, the digestive tract and the arterial system. If you can clear out those 2 hydraulic systems, you can significantly improve most physical imbalances. Now, we're all aware that there are dozens of popular diets that you can find online, and most of them are trendy and only last for a few years, and then they're replaced by some other popular diet. The way I came across the information for this particular diet I'm going to share with you was a little bit different. It was my good fortune during the late 90s to be more or less apprenticed to several of the world's leading doctors in the area of digestive enzymes, probiotics, minerals, colon detox, and antioxidants. So we talk about those doctors specifically in the chapter at the Doctor Within. So let's talk more specifically about the 60-day program right now. The 60-day program is a very simple program, really, consisting of a natural whole foods diet and 7 supplements. Here they are: the New West diet, digestive enzymes, Expel, total Florabiotics, which is our probiotics, high-end probiotics, antioxidants, total complete minerals. Phase 2 is an oral chelation, which has 2 purposes. And finally, hydrolyzed collagen. And in addition, of course, there's always 1 to 2 liters of best water per day. Because what good is it if we're going to dredge up from our organs and tissues all these stuck poisons and toxins and put them back into the blood if we're dehydrated? In order for them to be flushed out of the body, we must take in sufficient water every day, between 1 and 2 liters. So now, each one of these supplements, as well as the diet itself, has its own chapter at the Doctor Within. And in addition, of the thousands of patients who have used this program over the years, some of them have written in and described their stories of how they recovered from whatever conditions they had by using this program, exactly what they went through. And that's on the testimonial section at the Doctor Within. Okay, so let's talk specifically about the New West diet. Now, as you know, there are dozens of pop diets you can find online, mostly by unschooled, untrained people who spent a few days on doing wiki searches for nutrition, right? A lot of them follow the medical model of nutrition. Ask yourself this: how many hours of nutrition did the MD have in his curriculum? The answer is 0. So the first question that we must ask when we put any food into our mouth is this: will this cleanse me or will this clog me? Is this a nourishing food or is this going to weaken me? A nutrient food contains within itself everything necessary for its complete breakdown and uptake by your body's cells. That's what a nutrient food is. Nothing left over, no residuals. Okay, now with the New West diet, I divided foods into 4 categories. Category 1, unrestricted. Category 2, with some moderation. Category 3, not during the detox program. And category 4, not in this lifetime. So obviously, during the 60-day detox, we're only going to be eating from categories 1 and 2. So let's take a close look at category 1, first of all. Before we do that, here's the short version of the New West diet. For 60 days, you're going to take in no refined carbohydrates. That means white sugar and white flour, right? No pasteurized dairy, no milk, cheese, butter, ice cream, or yogurt if it's pasteurized, and no hydrogenated oils. So you have to start reading the labels on everything. Okay, so here it is. Category 1, unrestricted, which means you can take in as much of these as you want. Fruits, vegetables, and juices. The best ones that you can find, preferably organic, but if not, at least try to find some that are not sprayed with pesticides, right? Brown rice, grilled fish, legumes, selected food grade herbs. That's things like spirulina, chlorella, blue-green algae, some high-end Chinese food-grade herbs. All these are fine. And as I said, as always, 1 to 2 liters of good water every day. Okay, now let's look at category 2, with some moderation. This includes organic meats, preferably organic, but if they're not organic, if they don't have the organic label, at least try to buy the ones that are stamped no hormones or no antibiotics. Eggs, preferably free range, cage free, or organic, but eggs are fine. Raw dairy. Now this means unpasteurized. So go to the chapter on the website if you're unfamiliar with raw dairy. I caution people on this with some moderation, because if you drink a lot of raw milk or raw cheese and you're not used to it, it can make you fat unless you're doing a lot of exercise. But raw dairy, there's nothing wrong with it. It's completely digestible. It has all the enzymes in it. Whole grains are fine. Integral breads, that means whole grain breads, preferably rye or potato breads. And then if you're concerned about the whole gluten myth, that excludes that discussion right there. But just make sure that the breads that you choose, at the very least, have no high fructose corn syrup and no hydrogenated oils. So how are you going to find that out? You have to read the labels, obviously, right? Next, just a reminder, there are no seeds, no nuts, and no oils in the 60-day program. Even though some of these have food value, they're very dense, very hard to break down and to digest. And what we're trying to do here, we are trying to clear the digestive tract, and we certainly don't want to clog that up with anything. Supplement oils, if you're taking like fish oils, flaxseed oil, things like that, a little bit of those are fine. Supplement oils are fine, just no cooking oils and no salad dressing oils, right? So we were talking about pasteurized dairy. What is pasteurized dairy? Pasteurized dairy means the milk has been heated so that all the enzymes are destroyed. When they do that, it makes for a longer shelf life, but unfortunately, they have just transformed a natural nutrient food into something that is a sensitizing, non-nutritive allergen. And this is why children should never be given pasteurized dairy, especially young children, because this is the #1 cause of allergies and asthma. Virtually all holistic nutritionists agree on this one idea, that if your child has chronic allergies or asthma, the first thing you do, the first thing you do is for 60 days, no pasteurized dairy for that child. No milk, cheese, butter, ice cream, or yogurt. And watch the allergy go away. Okay, now, category 3. This is not during the detox program. Some of these foods you can eat occasionally, but not during the 60 days, okay? Generally not recommended and only with enzyme supplements. These include, as I said, seeds and nuts, processed cheese, occasional treats with white sugar or white flour, the less the better, right? Commercial butter, commercial ice cream, canned foods, coffee, alcohol. So I don't expect everybody to eat like a saint or like a monk for the rest of their life, although you would definitely have optimum health if you did that. But being realistic and considering that we used to go out into restaurants, right? Or we just live in the society in which we live, that occasionally you're going to eat foods that aren't optimum for you. Well, that's fine occasionally, but just not during the 60 days, even pasteurized dairy. I wanted to mention popcorn. There's really nothing wrong with popcorn per se, except for that imitation butter and even the horrible heated butter that people pour on it and the oils. But just regular popcorn, it's not such a bad food, but not during the 60-day program. And there again, why? Because it's going to clog up the digestive tract. The digestive tract has probably already been clogged for years, and that's what we're trying to do in these 60 days, clear it out, so no popcorn. Okay, as I said, no oils during the 60-day program except for supplement oils. This is because of unregulated labeling for oils. You really don't know what the sources are for the oils. Most oils are over-processed with heats and hydrogenation. And even the high-end salad dressing oils, they're just too dense during this 60-day program to consider adding to the digestive tract, which we're trying to clear out. So this is why no oils for 60 days. Also, if you're using oils for cooking, there's a good chance that you're creating new free radicals and trans fats during the cooking process. And this leads to hard fats, plaque, and cellulite. So these are unnecessary. We don't really need these for our diet. So in the 60-day program, there are no cooking oils, no salad dressing oils. Okay, that brings us to category 4. This is the not in this lifetime category. This is foods that you, no matter when you eat them, during the 60-day program, after the 60-day program, or whenever, these are completely detrimental to your physiology, to your cells and tissues, have no food value whatsoever, no matter what you read on Wikipedia. Okay? Soft drinks, French fries, donuts, potato chips, refined protein powders, margarine, hydrogenated oils, mayonnaise, unless you make it yourself, diet soft drinks, NutraSweet aspartame, high fructose corn syrup, soy in any form. Okay, so I don't have time to go into the specifics of these, but the specifics of these items are in 2 chapters. The enzymes chapter called Enzymes, the Key to Longevity, and also the soy chapter, which is called The Magic Bean. Very good. Now let's talk about the good fats for a second here. These are called EFAs, or essential fatty acids. Essential in this context means the body cannot manufacture them, and it's essential that you take them in your diet. So essential fatty acids are necessary for building and maintaining your neurons, your cell membranes, your hormones, your red blood cells, the hyaline cartilage that is in all your joints. This is especially true in the case of the newborn, because in the first year of his life, 70% of the newborn's energy is used to build the central nervous system. Now, unfortunately, there is a lining to these neurons, a lining called myelin. No child is born myelinated. So essential fatty acids are necessary to create the myelin. They are the number one building material for creating myelin. With insufficient essential fatty acids in the diet as a newborn, this will interfere with normal development of the central nervous system. That's not a theory. Any physiology textbook can document that. What are the best sources for essential fatty acids in the diet? The number one is fish, and that will give us DHA and AA, our two most essential fatty acids. Other foods like flaxseed, nuts, avocado, dark greens, borage oil, evening primrose oil, hemp oil, these foods can offer other useful fats in the body. Except remember, there are no nuts during the 60-day program for reasons we already explained. Your primary source for this information is udoerasmus.com, his landmark textbook, Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill. Okay, so there's grilled fish, fish oils, flaxseed oil, and algae. Again, these are our best EFA sources. As I said, the essential fatty acids in newborns and in infants is critical. DHA is essential for the construction of his vision cells, his memory cells, his brain connections, his brain cell energy, and his myelin. AA is necessary also for developing brain cells. Now, where is a newborn baby going to get good fats from? A newborn baby cannot digest fish, obviously. So this means the mother who is breastfeeding during the first year of life must learn what DHA is, must learn what the best sources of DHA are, and then she must have a diet high in DHA, and this is transferred to the child through breastfeeding. That is critical for an infant. So the New West diet, we find, it's not so much of a diet as it is a lifestyle. People who are making a dramatic transformation in their life, they are desperate, they are a failed medical case, they've had allergies for 15 years, they've had chronic disease for 15 years, and they're dying. A lot of them are literally dying, and they use this as their last resort, this 60-day program. And then they discover in such a short time what a dramatic change that it has in their life. Well, then this doesn't become just a diet that they tried. This becomes their new lifestyle, because it's finally being demonstrated to them on a day-to-day basis what is going to cleanse you and what is going to clog you, what is going to make you healthy and what is going to keep you sick. Some people use this program for weight loss and for getting off of blood pressure medication. They have high blood pressure. They're tired of the side effects of blood pressure medication. They finally have done enough research to discover that blood pressure medication does not extend anybody's life statistically, according to medicine's own statistics, right? So they want to try something natural and do it the natural way. Okay, so for these people, I say, all right, if that's your focus here, you weigh 400 pounds, your blood pressure is 220 over 100, and you're taking 5 blood pressure medications, whatever. These people, during the first 14 days at least of the 60-day program, for the first 2 weeks, try this. Juices only. So it's like a juice fast. It is a juice fast. Here's how you do it. When you wake up in the morning, you have an 8-ounce glass of juice, right? And what juice? Any fruit, any vegetable juice, whatever your favorite is. Preferably organic, the best juice that you can get. And then throughout the day, every 2 hours, you drink an 8-ounce glass of juice. That's it. No food. Now, since they're on the 60-day program, of course they're going to include hydration as well as the supplements during this juice fast. Now people say, but I'm going to starve to death. I can't do that. I have to, I have 2 breakfasts before noon, or whatever they say, or worse, I need my coffee. Well, guess what? If you just try this for a couple days, you're going to notice by the 2nd or 3rd day that you don't have that craving for food. Or amazingly, even if you're addicted to donuts or sugar or coffee, that these, quote, food addictions, they're primarily psychological, they're not physical, they go away in a very few days. But it is crucial that you do the 8-ounce glass of juice every 2 hours. The simplest way to do it is on the even hour, right? So you start at 10 a.m., 10 a.m., noon, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, right? Like that. So you cannot miss a 2-hour drink. You cannot miss one, right? Because here's what happens. Okay, here's what happens. After doing this juice fast for 3 or 4 days, most people, they get into this zone, this feeling of lightness and energy, and they're just amazed that they feel so good, have all this energy, and they really don't feel hungry. They really don't miss food. And then they get to feeling that they don't need anything, and they just float along, and they just neglect to even drink their juice every 2 hours. When that happens, they're going to crash, and their blood sugar is going to go down very low. So this is an admonition here. If you're going to do this juice fast, do not miss your 2-hour glass of juice. Every 2 hours, from morning till night. If you want, you can do it longer than that, but I would say a minimum of 14 days. And I don't care how much you weigh, and I don't care what you're addicted to. Don't think that you can't do this. It's not that difficult. I've done it myself many times. It's really not that hard. Okay, and then after 14 days, when you decide to go back to the normal human routine and start eating again, right? Start out with 1 meal a day and make that meal a smoothie. Or just make it something really like a salad or something. And when you do that, your other 2 meals will be smoothies. When you get to this 1 meal a day thing, you're going to want to eat really clean, like fish and rice. You're really not going to have a craving for something that's going to sit in your stomach like cement. You're not really going to be hungry for a burger and fries at this point in your life, because you're in touch with the angelic, let's say. This is also critical. If you're really serious about the weight loss thing, you must do aerobic exercise for 12 minutes. And that does not mean walking around the block. That doesn't count. That is not an aerobic exercise. It's something where you get slightly out of breath, like an elliptical machine or a bicycle, something like that, where you're slightly out of breath for a minimum of 12 minutes. This is going to really maximize the effect of the weight loss. Okay, I got to add one more idea here. Even if you follow this juice fast for 3 weeks, it is common that you won't lose any weight for the first 3 weeks. Why not? Because your body wants to hang on to that. Your body wants to hang on, especially it gets the idea that it's not getting any food, it's being deprived. It's hard to lose weight. So don't expect the pounds to be melting away after the first week, because it usually does not happen. Edward Howell, MD, from his textbook, Enzyme Nutrition, said this, quote, "I believe that food enzyme deficiency is an important cause of overweight." Well, that's obvious. If you're eating all these processed foods that have no enzyme, they're accumulating primarily, they end up in the colon down here in the lower stomach. And that's why you see these guys walking around and they have this, they look like they're guys and they look like they're in the 4th trimester, this big gut down here, but they have a skinny neck, skinny arms, and skinny legs. Guess what? They're not fat. That's a blocked colon from indigestible processed foods. So also remember this, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can't out-exercise a bad diet. Some people, they know they're overeating and they're eating the wrong foods, but they think, oh, well, if I just go run it off, or if I just go on the Exercycle or the Stairmaster, then I'll be fine and I can stay healthy. That doesn't work. You can't out-exercise a bad diet. One of my best friends and another one of my mentors, he was a gourmand. He knew all the rich, expensive foods. He was an expert in wines, and he had a lot of money. He had a very extravagant lifestyle as far as diet goes. But he thought that he could compensate for that and stay healthy by doing 45 minutes on the treadmill every morning. So one day, after several years of that type of philosophy, his wife called me on the phone and told me that she just found Steve dead on the treadmill. So I wrote this chapter at that time, Death by Treadmill. So please look that up on the website under chapters. And remember this, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. Okay, so the 60-day program consists of the New West diet and 7 supplements. And we named the supplements, but we didn't talk about them. First of all, I have to tell you the philosophy that I was given by all my teachers. And they all said this: the patient should take the fewest supplements possible, be spending the least amount of money on supplements possible, but still giving the body everything it needs for full nutrition and detox. And if you can clear out the tract and clear out the blood, there are very few health imbalances which will not show a favorable response. Now, I'm not making the claim here that this program is the cure for all diseases. Of course not. But clearing out the tract and the blood is a dramatic first step for most patients with a chronic imbalance that they've been plagued with for years. People who have diseases, they tend to go with the allopathic method. In other words, do something to me, give me a drug, cut some part of my body off to make me healthy again. Something that will not require my participation in any way or make me alter my self-annihilating lifestyle. That's how most people are trained, and this is encouraged by the medical model. But it doesn't really work like that. So it takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of commitment, really, to follow a 60-day program like this. This can be the missing piece of the puzzle that has been eluding people for so long. As I said, this program has been especially useful in medical failures, people who have tried all these medical drug protocols, surgeries for so many years, and they just continue to get sicker, sicker, sicker. So you can read many of their stories at the testimonial section on the website. All right, so let's take a look now specifically at the 7 supplements. First of all is Digestazyme. It's a digestive enzyme. You're going to be taking 3 capsules 3 times a day. 3 capsules 3 times a day, every single day for 60 days, right? And why are we doing that? We're doing that for 2 reasons. Number 1, to clear the tract. When you take these enzyme capsules and you have a full stomach, they are dragged through the digestive system, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, colon, and out. When you take these digestive enzymes on an empty stomach, they are absorbed directly into the bloodstream, just like alcohol and aspirin, and then they serve to clear out the blood, all the indigestible debris in the blood, which you have packed in there from all those years of chips, fries, and donuts, right? So Digestazyme, that's the first supplement. Second supplement is Expel. Now, I was taught that there is no legitimate program of detoxification that does not begin by clearing the colon and restoring the colon. So to that end, our first supplement, there are 2 supplements that are specific for reactivating a dead colon. The first one is Expel. It's a very simple, classic supplement containing 7 herbs, and their purpose is to chip away at the layer upon layer of stuck, indigestible foods that are blocking your colon. So please read that chapter on Expel. The second supplement that has to do with the colon is the high-end probiotic called Total Florabiotics. So we're going to learn that the colon is the center of the immune system. What makes it the center of the immune system is the presence of good bacteria. And we're going to learn why do most Americans have no healthy bacteria in their colon most of their life. Next is antioxidants. Now we know that antioxidants are for neutralizing free radicals that we might be exposed to, right? What many people don't know is that the act of detox itself produces a lot of free radicals. So these free radicals must be neutralized by an antioxidant during the 60-day program. The next supplement is Total Complete Minerals. The majority of the population is mineral deficient, so that is critical that we take mineral supplements for 60 days. Next is Phase 2. Phase 2 is the same thing as oral chelation. I discovered that the enzymes could not remove all poisons and all contaminants and all blockages from the system. There were two things that it could not remove: heavy metals and atherosclerotic plaque from the arteries. So that's why we added Phase 2. And finally, Hydrolyzed Collagen, which we're going to discuss in a few minutes here. Okay, so these are the 7 supplements of the 60-day program. The dosages are as follows: enzymes, 3 caps 3 times a day; Expel, 3 to 4 caps once a day; Florabiotics, 3 caps 3 times a day; antioxidants, 2 caps twice a day; minerals, 3 caps a day; Phase 2, 3 caps a day; and hydrolyzed collagen between 2 and 6 tablespoons blended in juice. So each supplement has its own chapter at the Doctor Within. Let's just add a few details about each one of these supplements here for a minute. Let's start with enzymes. What is the definition of a nutrient food? The food contains within itself all enzymes, vitamins, and minerals necessary for that food's complete breakdown and uptake by the cells with nothing left over. That's a nutrient food. What is a processed food? A food that has had its enzymes scientifically removed for one reason only: shelf life, right? So again, the difference between nutrient foods and processed foods is simply the presence or absence of enzymes. So here is Edward Howell, MD, founder of National Enzyme Company. His textbook is Enzyme Nutrition, and we learn all about Edward Howell and his successor, Stan Bynum, on our chapter, Enzymes, the Key to Longevity. Stan Bynum's crowning achievement of his lifetime was the digestive enzyme Digestazyme. Stan Bynum was my mentor, and he taught me everything I know about enzymes and digestion. Enzymes, it turns out, are the #1 determinant of nutritive content of any food. No enzymes, no nutrient content, because you cannot metabolize the food. You can't break it down. So again, Digestazyme in the 60-day program has 2 objectives. The one is to clear the tract. The other is to clear the blood. To clear the tract, you take the enzymes with meals. To focus on clearing the blood, you take the enzymes on an empty stomach. Very good. So it turns out that every cell of your body is bathed at every moment of your life by your blood. It's called the internal milieu. And so the condition of that blood determines your health. It is the job of the erythrocytes, or red blood cells, to deliver oxygen to your cells. But in the case of the person who has an 80% processed food diet, these erythrocytes are all clumped together. They're all stuck together in globs, and then it's very difficult to force them through the tiny little capillaries to be delivered to each cell of your body. So this accounts for the sluggishness. And what is the number one symptom of all Americans? The number one complaint of all Americans is fatigue. And this is why. Because the musculoskeletal system is 60% of your body. The cells are all clogged together from all those fries and donuts you're eating. And the red cells, the erythrocytes, cannot make it to all the individual cells of your body with sufficient oxygen. That's why you're so tired. We've all heard of leaky gut syndrome. Leaky gut syndrome starts by an accumulation of processed food in our stomach, in our small intestine, and the large intestine. And then these indigestible food particles, they make their way into the bloodstream through the pores of the colon, and that's called a leaky gut. Now, the problem is, once in the bloodstream, digestion can no longer occur. So these indigestible, toxic food elements from processed foods, they're now floating around in the blood, and they are free to take up residence in virtually any organ or tissue in the body. And this can cause virtually any degenerative condition that you can name. Intact molecules of processed food make their way through the pores of the colon into the bloodstream, and that's called leaky gut syndrome. So with the Digestazyme, it's going to help to clear that digestive tract by taking 3 capsules 3 times a day for 60 days. Did you know that over 20% of the population has reflux, esophageal reflux? You know what that is. It's when you start eating and you already feel full. Guess what? You already are full from all that indigestible pizza that you just ate 3 hours before you started eating. It's still sitting there in your stomach. The other sign of reflux is when you lie down at night and the food comes back up into your throat. That's because it's sitting there in the stomach, never digested, and it refluxes back up through the esophagus into your throat. So what happens is these indigestible foods are sitting there in your stomach. Your stomach is producing enzymes and stomach juices to try to break these foods down, but it can't do it because they're unrecognizable to the human species. So as a consequence, a lot of times these acidic juices, they back up into the esophagus, the lower esophagus, and you get a pain right here. People call it heartburn, but it has nothing to do with the heart. What it is, the digestive acidic juices are burning the delicate, sensitive lining of the esophagus, and that is very painful, and it's due to acid. That's called acid reflux. Now, when this happens year after year, that part of the esophagus eventually becomes scarred up, and that condition is known as Barrett's syndrome, and it is the precursor very often to esophageal cancer, which is one of the top 10 most common cancers in the United States. Now, you don't just get esophageal cancer, you have to earn it. You have to work for it by eating indigestible foods year after year, creating years and years of reflux, and that's the end result. Milk, a devitalized enzymeless food. We mentioned this before. Raw milk contains all the enzymes necessary for complete digestion. Pasteurized dairy has had all the enzymes scientifically removed so it will last on the shelf longer. Unfortunately, that makes it a sensitizing allergen for children. And as we saw before, it's the #1 cause of chronic allergies and asthma in children. One of the most renowned nutritionists in the past century was certainly Royal Lee. And in his book, Conversations, we find this quote: "Pasteurized milk is incapable of rebuilding or maintaining bones and teeth." So if you want to find out exactly why that is, read the chapter, Enzymes, the Key to Longevity, at our website. Let's talk about the colon for a second here. Your colon, that's the lowest part of the digestive tract, right? The 2 primary purposes of the colon are water and electrolyte reabsorption. The body does not want to lose water and minerals, so it's the colon's job to resorb that water and minerals into the blood. That's the colon's first job, through the pores, right? Its second job is to act as the immune center of the body. Now, the only way it can be the immune center of the body, it turns out, is to maintain up to 400 species of good bacteria at all times. So this entire physiology is explained in detail in our chapter called Journey to the Center of Your Colon on our website. So again, we said we had 2 of the 7 supplements in the 60-day program are dedicated to clearing and reactivating the colon. And the first of those is Expel. It clears the colon by chipping away at the layer upon layer of indigestible foods that you've shoved down there for the past few years. It also promotes a flat stomach. You start taking Expel for a few weeks and a lot of people are going to notice that their stomach is going to flatten out. We talked about that before. The normal colon in the healthy person should only be 2 inches in diameter. The colon is 6 feet long, and the healthy colon should only be about 2 inches in diameter. But if you shove all these toxic foods down your throat for years and years, the colon can expand to be up to 6 inches in diameter. And those are the guys that I talk about. They have really distended lower abdomen, and they're not necessarily fat. That's a distended colon. So to read about that whole mechanism, please look at the chapter, Journey to the Center of Your Colon. There it is. Okay. Now there was a chiropractor, his name was Bernard Jensen, and he talked about the concept of transit time. What does that mean? That is the time between when you eat a food and when the waste from that food comes out of you. Normally, that should be about 24 hours or 3 meals. In other words, 3 meals are stored, then you eat something else, and the waste from the third last meal comes out. That's called transit time. That's a normal transit time. But when I interviewed so many patients in consultations, what I discovered was that it's quite common for people to store 9, 12, or even 24 meals before the waste from one comes out. That means that some people, and maybe you know these people, they go for 8 days before they eliminate the waste from the food they have just eaten. So there's a marker test. There's a way to calculate your transit time. Here's what you do. You cook up a bunch of frozen corn, right? And then you eat that corn, and then you notice when it comes out. And normally it should be within 24 hours. That's normal. If you have to wait 8 days, you have a blocked colon. Actually, if you have to wait longer than 24 hours, you have a blocked colon. Elimination should always be effortless. Again, all this is in the chapter, Journey to the Center of Your Colon. Okay, let's talk about Florabiotics, total Florabiotics. This is the high-end probiotics. So we said there are 2 of the 7 supplements that are dedicated to colon detox, Expel and total Florabiotics. Okay, now remember how I said the colon was supposed to be the center of the immune system? What makes the colon the center of the immune system is the presence of up to 400 different types of probiotics or good bacteria. They should be present in the normal, healthy human colon. As much as 3 pounds of those probiotics is normal in the healthy colon. The purpose of taking total Florabiotics, 3 capsules 3 times a day for 60 days, is to normalize the intestinal flora. What we discovered is that most Americans have little or no probiotics in their colon during their life. And so this immune suppression is the #1 cause not only of diseases of the colon, but if your immune system is suppressed all the time, it promotes any type of disease throughout the body. Right. So let's look at a few things which depress your immune system by destroying your gut flora. What destroys the gut flora? What kills your good bacteria? First of all, there's drugs, pharmaceutical and recreational, alcohol, antibiotics. When you take an antibiotic, that can destroy most of your gut flora during one course of antibiotics. Did you know that? Non-steroidals like Advil, Tylenol, white sugar, chlorinated water, carbonated drinks, fluoridated water, antihistamines, and coffee. All of these destroy your gut flora. Did you know that 70% of the antibiotics produced in this country are given to animals whose meat we eat? And then the antibiotics are still active in you when you eat that chicken from Colonel Sanders or whatever fast food. They're still active in you and they kill your gut flora. Even the FDA uses the word epidemic to describe the amount of human disease from eating meat laced with antibiotics. So I didn't just make this up. So incidentally, all of these facts that I'm stating, the references and sources for them are in the individual chapters on our website that I'm citing. Other things that destroy gut flora include Zantac, Tagamet, Prilosec. All these drugs kill your gut flora. Advil, Tylenol, Excedrin, all these. Other prescription meds, over-the-counter meds. All of these things can destroy your gut flora. Okay, so since most people live their life with no probiotics, what are some of the consequences of that? Well, opportunistic bacteria get a chance to proliferate, like H. pylori or E. coli. So when these gain an ascendancy, when one specific species of bacteria gains an ascendancy, that can cause a disease. But if it's in harmony with 400 other species, these types of bacteria themselves cause no problem. Remember, germs do not cause disease. It's imbalance that causes a disease. The next thing that happens if you have no gut flora is you are constantly dehydrated. And that's because the colon is not doing its job of resorbing the water before it passes from the body. And minerals follow water, and you're mineral depleted as well. And like we said before, you become immune suppressed because it is the presence of probiotics or good bacteria that make your colon the center of your immune system. And then over time, eventually, living your life with no probiotics promotes primary colon disease. Colon cancer is the number 3 most popular cancer in the United States. So what about allergies? Leaky gut and allergies are directly related. There's a very close relationship between leaky gut syndrome and chronic allergies. So you can read about that in the chapter, but here's the bottom line. Whenever your doctors can't find the cause of your allergies, here it is: allergies to processed food. Allergies to processed food. And so many people, they're so amazed, they come to us and they've had chronic allergies maybe for 10 or 15 years, and they've been on antibiotics that long as well. Listen, I'll clue you in here. If antibiotics are going to work for you, they're going to work within the first couple weeks. You don't take antibiotics for 15 years. Those people are getting sick and they're dying. So for this type of patient, when we start to flood their colon with high-end probiotics for the first time, it can have dramatic changes in a very short time. Here's a peer-reviewed journal article showing that probiotics reduce the incidence of respiratory tract infection in 3-year-old children. That's your note number 26. Their fever was reduced by 63%. Their cough was reduced by 54%. Antibiotic use was reduced 80%. That's because they were already trying antibiotics, right? So that's the difference between probiotics and antibiotics. Read the chapter. He was my teacher, Dr. Kem Shahani. He was the foremost authority in probiotics during the late 90s. And one of his lifetime achievements was the formulation of the probiotic, which we now use as Total Florabiotics. And here are some of the individual species of bacteria which he included in that formula. So you can read that chapter as well. Now, sometimes we discovered people who were so immune depressed that not even the normal dosage of Florabiotics would improve their condition, which is what? 3 capsules 3 times a day, just like the enzymes, right? So Shahani made up this idea. He said, well, since probiotics are completely harmless, no one ever has a side effect just by taking probiotics, let's try doubling the dosage for 1 month. So that's what we did. He called it the Flora Blitz. We doubled the dosage of probiotics for 1 month in the people who were severely immune suppressed or had had chronic allergies for years. So in other words, you're not taking 3 capsules 3 times a day, you're taking 6 capsules 3 times a day. The good news is I have never once had any complaints about any side effects from doing that, because all we're doing is adding good bacteria. But this Flora Blitz has had astounding results in several cases that you can read on the testimonial section at the Doctor Within. Okay, let's go to free radicals and antioxidants right now. Free radicals, as you know, are unstable molecules which we get from normal metabolism, processed foods, air pollution, stress, alcohol, drugs, TV screens, computer screens, extreme exercise, trauma, surgery, and also detoxification. Now, if you have too many free radicals, if you have an excess of free radicals in your body by the end of the day, it's going to cause cell damage. Right, cellular anomalies, protein damage, it's going to cause deactivation of enzymes, which is further going to interfere with your digestion, right? It's also going to alter your DNA. So this is not a theory. It's well established that constant exposure to free radicals can be a primary cause of cancer. Free radicals are carcinogenic. It's not theoretical, it's proven. Also, lipid peroxidation of membranes, especially the membrane of the red cells. So extra free radicals in your body all the time damages your blood directly. It also injures the heart tissue. It can cause heart disease. It can also cause multiple sclerosis, which is an attack on the nerves of the central nervous system. So for all these reasons, we need to make sure that the extra free radicals that we produce by the act of detox are neutralized, so they won't harm us. So we all know what antioxidants are in a general way, right? That includes fruits and citrus, which contain vitamin C and vitamin E, right? All vegetables contain antioxidants as well. Whole grains are also rich in antioxidants. I remember the story Richard Dana, 2 years before the mast. He talks about, limeys. So the British used to take limes on their boats so the sailors wouldn't get scurvy. And then they discovered that potatoes had the same effect. Potatoes are a vegetable and they are high in vitamin C as well. So anyway, what are the popular antioxidant supplements? Well, we know it's fruits and vegetables, green tea, goji berries, grapeseed and pine bark contain pycnogenols, which are very high in antioxidants. But once Patrick Flanagan came up with megahydrate, that was the end of the story. There was no more competition. It was not only 1,000 times more effective than any other antioxidant supplement, but any other antioxidant source. So you have to read that chapter on antioxidants on the website. Okay, let's talk about minerals. Most of us are mineral deficient. Why do we need minerals? For our bones, teeth, and ligaments, for the solutes and electrolytes in your blood, right? For enzyme action, we need calcium and magnesium for the heart, right? For nerve transmission, again, we need calcium. For muscle action, 4% of the body mass in the healthy individual should be made of minerals. No matter what you may read on Wikimafia, there are only 21 essential minerals for humans. The macro minerals, which are these 7, okay? Those are the macro minerals, and 14 trace minerals. So you can read these on the minerals chapter. Now you see a lot of mineral supplements in GNC and they have like 88 minerals. Those are ridiculous. Those are toxic minerals. They have no nutrient value for humans. Only 21 minerals have nutrient value for humans. Now, as I said, the majority of our population is mineral deficient. Why? Number one, the soil is depleted. What, John Robbins' book, when did he write that? In the 90s, early 90s. At that time, he pointed out that we have only 5% of the topsoil in the United States now in general that we had 100 years ago. So it's worse now. The soil itself is depleted. Also, our diet is deficient in minerals. 80% processed food diet. How much minerals do you think there is in most processed foods? The answer is little or none. Drugs interfere with your uptake of minerals. So even if you do have some available minerals in your diet, recreational drugs and pharmaceutical drugs will block the uptake of those minerals by your cells. Also, megadosing, telling people to take 3,000 milligrams of any supplement for a certain reason. High dosing of a specific mineral, that is ridiculous. We only need minerals in very small amounts. You want to take the least amount possible. So here's some of the percentages of Americans who are deficient in specific minerals. Right. The short version of this is that the majority of the population is deficient in the majority of minerals the majority of their lives. So all the sources and documentation we have for that is on the minerals chapter. Fats that heal, fats that kill, that's one source for that, and Albion Labs textbook. Okay, so now we have total complete minerals. That's our supplement. It's one of the 7 supplements, right? What's the objective? Optimum support for cell function, immune strength, longevity. Every system of the body benefits from normal mineral nutrition, including your neurons, your nervous system, the endocrine system, the musculoskeletal system, and your digestive system. Every system of the body requires minerals. Every cell, every tissue. Even if you say that you have a healthy diet, you eat all organic produce does not necessarily have any minerals at all because of the topsoil. Right, so we should take only the minerals we absolutely need, take them in the smallest amounts possible in the most bioavailable form. Turns out that of the 4 types of supplement minerals, chelated is the most absorbable bioavailable form. This is Harvey Ashmead, Intestinal Absorption of Metal Ions, your note number 55. It's in the minerals chapter. Regular minerals that you take at the grocery store or something, they have a 5% absorbability. These are up around 90%, so you can read about that. What did Linus Pauling say back in the day? You can trace every sickness, every disease, every ailment to mineral deficiency. Okay, now let's talk about oral chelation for a second. The new name of oral chelation is now phase 2. And this, I told you, I discovered that the Digestazyme couldn't take out from the body, couldn't remove toxic heavy metals and plaque from the arteries. I knew I needed to add a supplement that could perform these two tasks. Now, we all know that heart disease is the #1 cause of death in this country. And you don't just get a heart attack. Your cardiovascular system deteriorates over time, starting with your diet of chips and fries as a teenager. And that plaque just builds up within all the arteries, but specifically the arteries of the heart, the coronary arteries. And so it's helpful if you reverse your lifestyle, but even if you reverse your lifestyle after your first heart attack, that still doesn't remove the plaque that is in, not just in your coronary arteries, but in all your arteries. So that was the objective really of phase 2, to remove the plaque from the arteries. In addition to that, there's the autism industry, as I call it. Suddenly when this epidemic, a true epidemic, not the fake epidemic that we're experiencing now, but the true epidemic of autism came in the late 90s after we tripled the number of vaccines forced into children. Then there emerged the autism industry at that time. So, of course, mainstream medicine is denying the existence of the autism phenomenon, and they really don't have anything to treat these kids. So the autism industry developed, and it's amazing how the focus on the autism industry was what? Primarily something to chelate or remove aluminum and mercury and other heavy metals from the infant's formative brain. And a lot of these heavy metals are in vaccines. So we have the autism industry at that time. Okay, so now arterial plaque. The problem with arterial plaque, why the digestive enzymes do not remove it, is that it's not water soluble. Digestazyme only removes debris that is water soluble. Plaque is very hard. It's like plastic lining the arteries. So we needed something special that could infiltrate that and break it down. And that's what plaque is. Right. Here are some of the ingredients in phase 2. Chlorella, alpha lipoic acid, and garlic, which are classic chelators of heavy metals and toxins. We've known that for years, right? Popular in the autism industry, mercury removal from the child's neurology. Then there's zeolite, which many of you know as a superfine clay, right? For cleaning out the microvilli spaces within the colon. It's inert and therefore it's 100% safe. Then there's sodium alginate, which is a food industry product which forms a gel with the calcium built up in the arteries. It actually softens and changes the composition of the calcific arterial plaque so that it can be cleared from the arteries. And finally, there is raw cacao, which is food-bound magnesium and chromium, also essential for heart health. Also look at the chapter called To the Heart Patient. We'll find out why is heart disease the #1 cause of death in the United States for the past 40 years, and why has the number of people who are on 5 different heart medications, why hasn't that changed any outcomes whatsoever? Finally, here's the last of the 7 products, hydrolyzed collagen. Okay, first of all, there's collagen in your body, and secondly, there's collagen as a supplement. Let's talk about in your body first. Collagen is the largest, most abundant protein in your body. It makes up everything, all your structures. Everything in your body is made out of collagen, right? Arteries, joints, organs, muscles, skin, tendons, ligaments, bones. Everything is made of collagen. Problem is, as we age, collagen production falls way off, and so some of these structures start to get flimsy and insubstantial. This is the mechanism of something called ptosis, where the muscles of our face, our skin, the muscles of our entire body begins to sag as we age. That's from loss of integrity of the skin and muscles. It's called ptosis. When you have a prolapsed anything, that's caused by loss of integrity of your body's collagen. Chicken neck, turkey neck, crow's feet, all of that is an indication of loss of collagen in the skin. Worn meniscus, worn discs in the spine. It's a loss of collagen. It's usually induced by trauma. The joints deteriorate due to a loss of collagen and an inability of the body to repair the damaged structures. Right. So, what does hydrolysis mean? Now let's talk about the supplements. What does hydrolysis mean? Hydrolysis means cleaving peptides into sections. That's called hydrolysis. So we take the highest end bovine collagen, and the process that we use is called hydrolysis, which cleaves the peptides into very small sections, the smallest sections possible, the smallest little peptides possible. All right, collagen is becoming a very popular supplement these past 10 years. What I discovered is that the size of the collagen molecules in these supplements is generally in the 45,000 Dalton range. Dalton is a unit of measurement. Our collagen is only 3,000 Daltons in size, which means the absorbability of it is 15 times greater than the majority of collagens. What are some applications? Why do people take collagen? Why do people take hydrolyzed collagen as a supplement? For many reasons, because it's the structural material for everything in your body. Lean muscle gain for older people and also for athletes who lean muscle gain is critical. Muscle tone, skin toning and thickening in the cosmetic industry, joint rebuilding. All the structures of any joint in your body are made of collagen. When you damage that joint, as we age, the collagen reparation process slows way down. So that's why supplements are so effective. Arterial strengthening. Your arteries are made of collagen. Thickening hair and nails. That's what all the women who take hydrolyzed collagen, they're always talking about how their hair gets thicker and their fingernails are harder to clip. They get harder. Increased energy, organ rebuilding, heart, prostate, lungs, liver, kidneys, blood vessels. So please read about the specifics of these in the hydrolyzed collagen chapter on the website. High blood pressure due to a flimsy heart. The heart muscle gets weaker as we age because of loss of collagen. If you can add the building blocks of the body's new collagen to help rebuild the damaged structures. Same with arthritis in the joints, bladder weakness, and obesity. Chronic fatigue. Remember, the #1 symptom of Americans is fatigue. Our musculoskeletal system is 60% of our body, so if you don't exercise at all, it's going to weaken and deteriorate as we age. That causes fatigue, right? Autoimmune disease. Definitely skin problems, as we said, splitting nails. Now, the popularity of hydrolyzed collagen has skyrocketed during the last 10 years for different reasons in different countries. In Europe, the #1 reason for the popularity of the supplement is the area of bone health, specifically osteoporosis, right? In Asia, it's more an increased awareness of anti-aging cosmetics, specifically for skin rebuilding and for hair and nails. Now, how does that work? One of my teachers in this area, I have an entire PowerPoint presentation. How does a hydrolyzed collagen supplement increase the thickness of your skin? Here's how that happens. It actually increases the diameter of collagen fibrils in the dermis itself. This means increased thickness, suppleness, and resilience, as well as hydration. That's your note number 29. As far as sports nutrition goes, there is an increasing worldwide demand for hydrolyzed collagen for obvious reasons: lean muscle gain, endurance, resilience, recovery. As I said, for the elderly, Hydrolyzed collagen is very important. Why? Because they have reduced diet intake, so the availability of usable proteins becomes optimized. So if you have reduced diet intake, then what you do eat should be as nutritious and as useful as possible, and that's where hydrolyzed collagen comes in. This is actually the same mechanism as with athletes. We have a maintenance of leaner muscle, decreased fats to clog arteries, and increased organ support. This is not a magic program. What good is it going to do for all these 7 supplements to dredge up all this stored debris and poisons and all these clogging foods that have been stuck in your arteries and in your tissues for all these years? What good is it going to do to put these back into the blood if you're totally dehydrated? You must drink between 1 and 2 liters of water every day for optimum O2 transport and cell nutrition. 70% of your body is water. 90% of your brain is water. So we can't overemphasize the importance of hydration during the 60-day program. In the 60-day program, there's also a focus on no drugs, no other supplements. So if you're going to give this program a try, really give it a try. No other supplements during this program except these 7. And no other diets. I'm not going to try a little bit of the New West diet and a little bit of Atkins and the South Beach diet. No, that is guaranteed to fail. The other thing is, this is not the 10-day or the 30-day program. You know, I always get all these emails. Somebody wants to tell me about their eliminations after 10 days of the 60-day program. I really don't care, okay? Expect some, what do we call it? Healing crisis. I mean, look how many years you abused yourself. Look at all the trash you ate. Look at all those drugs you did, all the alcohol you drank. Do you think you're just going to suddenly start doing this program and feel great by the 3rd day? No, there's going to be a healing crisis, a retracing that's probably going to take place. You're probably going to feel a little worse before you start feeling better. When that happens, I always say, hey, that's a good sign. It means 2 things. Number 1, you really needed to do this program. And number 2, it's really working. This is not your typical cover-up that you get from the normal office visit to the medical doctor, where we're going to figure out in 5 minutes which drugs we're going to give you to cover up the symptoms of your self-destruction. No, 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 no. This is the holistic way. We're really going to retrace things. We're going to get rid of poisons, and we're going to rebuild the structures of your body. Night and day difference. So don't expect that you're going to feel great right away. What are some examples of a healing crisis? Well, it may be transient discomfort, temporary cough, eliminations, dizziness, disorientation, even passing a little blood. Usually it's not a big deal. If these types of symptoms occur temporarily, it's very common. But here's the good news. If some of these healing crisis symptoms become intolerable to you, well, that means you're detoxing too fast. Like Expel, for example. There's no question whether Expel is going to clear out your colon. It works for everybody. It's just how fast can you tolerate the clearance, right? So you must self-calibrate with 3 of the supplements, and that is Digestazyme, Expel, and Phase 2. The Digestazyme really is going to clear out the debris and poisons from your blood. The Expel really is going to break down all the stuck debris in your colon. The Phase 2 really is going to chelate heavy toxic minerals from your tissues. But if these are causing these healing crisis symptoms that are too strong for you to tolerate, then you stop. You stop these 3 supplements immediately for a day or 2, and then you start them up slowly, one at a time, with reduced dosages, and just do that gradually until you get back to the recommended dosage. So just remember, you expect mild healing crisis symptoms. If they're intolerable, you control, you calibrate the rate of detox by doing that. One of my academic sources was definitely J.H. Tilden. I always quote this guy. There is really only one disease, toxemia, due to an indigestible diet. That's from his textbook, Toxemia Explained. He also said this: all so-called diseases are increasing symptom complexes due to repeated crises of toxemia. They have no independent existence. As soon as toxemia is controlled, they disappear, unless an organ has been destroyed. Unquote, J.H. Tilden. So the 60-day program is simple. I mean, I've just explained the whole thing to you in a short time here, but it's not necessarily easy. It's simple in the sense that it consists of a diet and 7 supplements. It's not necessarily easy in that it's going to replace your current lifestyle, which you have created over the past several years. As far as how bad you feel, the diseases you have, ask yourself this question: how many years did it take to get this toxic with all the stored poisons and blocked digestive tract? So that's not going to change overnight, but it's like a focus and a dedication to this program. And if you need encouragement, please look at all the dozens and dozens of stories in the testimonial section at The Doctor Within. Whatever you do, don't tell me that you'll try. I hate it when people say they'll try. Losers try, winners do whatever it takes. Here are your 2 alternatives. If you're to that point in your life where you realize that you're on a downward trend, you're getting sicker, weaker, in more pain as time goes by, all the drugs they're giving you are not helping you, all the surgeries they're recommending are not helping you, but you're continuing the same diet that you had when you were in college, when you were a teenager, you are digging your grave with your teeth. So there's only one way to reverse that trend, and that's to change our lifestyle. Thank you for your kind attention.